This is actually the new book. This book should match the book that you're using. Um, there wasn't anything in the old book or in my old videos that matched up, so we're just re-recording, or I'm recording a new video that will match this book. So this is page 59 in the book. You will need patty paper for this video, so if you don't already have patty paper, go ahead and pause and get your patty paper. But in this investigation, we're going to rotate in the coordinate plane. So if we're going to rotate, remember the word rotate. So you're going to think about it, and it's going to rotate. So on your patty paper, make sure that you can see the entire 4 quadrants. Remember, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure that you can see all of the quadrants. You're going to mark the origin, and you're going to draw the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just mark the whole thing because it's not always going to be just in one spot. Okay, now I'm going to mark each of the points and label them. So, and you've got to be really careful with this because if you're just a little off, your points are going to be a little messed up. So this is A, this is B, this is E. Don't know why they skipped C, but we're going to go with it. This is G, and this is K. Okay, notice all of those points are down here in this table, and you can notice I marked that out and I wrote rotate 180 degrees. It just makes it easier when you're looking back so that you know which what's happening in these points. So we have all of the points lined up. You can go ahead and draw the image if you want to. One good thing about this one is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to mark the points on the back side. If you have a pencil, do the same thing because you can see that it just transferred right there. So if you have the points marked on the back side, it makes it easier in just a minute. So here we go. So I have the x and y axis lined up. We're going to rotate 180 degrees. So think about a circle. 360 is a circle. This is 90 degrees. This is 180 degrees. 270, and then 360. So just keep that in mind when we're rotating. 90 degrees is like this right here, and then that's another 90 degrees. All right, so here we go. So when we rotate this, you're going to stick your pen on the origin, and we're going to rotate 90 degrees. So that's 90. Notice the y-axis moved to the x-axis moved down here. And then we're going to rotate one more time. 90 plus 90 is 180. So then there's our new points. And we're going to mark those, and hopefully it transfers through. Let's lift it up and see. Yeah, it pretty much marked it through. If you have a pencil, sometimes it's easier if you just like stab a hole through the paper, and then you can mark through it that way. All right, so now I'm going to keep my paper kind of flipped this way and just slide it over here to the side because I want to be able to label my points. So this point right here was the original A, so remember it becomes A prime. This was B, and I'm just kind of moving it over. I was just slightly off. So this would be B prime. This point right there is E prime. This point is G prime. This point is K prime. And you can go ahead and make your little figure so that you can see it. So let's look at that again. Let's go back to the original. It rotated 90 degrees and 180. On the next set of rotations, we're going to do counter and clockwise, but I want to show you something. 180 degrees is half the circle. Doesn't matter which way you go. So that's 90, that's 180, so it ends up in the same spot. So that's why we don't actually justify a direction on this one, but we will on the other ones, because this one is just half the circle, so it moved halfway around a circle. All right, so what's the coordinates of the new A? So remember, count along the x-axis, so A prime, count along the x-axis is at -2, comma, -1. B prime is -3, -4. E prime, hopefully you can't hear my computer, it sounds like it's overheating all of a sudden, is -2, -6. G prime is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, comma, -5. K prime is -5, -1. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we're going to look at this. So if you notice, A prime was 2, 1, and it became -2, -1. B was 3, 4, and B prime is -3, -4. E is 2, 6. E prime is -2, -6. G is 5, 5. It became -5, -5. K is 5, 1. K prime is -5, -1. So if you think about, or if you look at that, hopefully you can, and I'm answering this question right here, hopefully you can see what happened. Every single time this 2 became -2, or the x value, so the first value became negative, the y values also became negative. So if you go to page 62, actually, let's just do it in our notebook. We're going to generalize, kind of like we've been doing. We're going to generalize so that for any case, you have these rules where if you just have any point x comma y, what's happening. So in your notebook, I'm going to set this so you can see the full thing. In your notebook, I want you to pause this video and draw this whole thing. We're going to be working on this over the next couple of videos, but I want you to go ahead and have it written out. So notice this says rotate 90 degrees counter. That's supposed to say clockwise, but I ran out of room. This one's rotate 90 degrees clockwise, and this one's rotate 180 degrees. Go ahead and pause the video, draw that in your notebook, and then start the video when you're done. Okay, so now that you've drawn this, we're going to just look at if you have the point x comma y, what happens when I rotate 180 degrees. So 5 comma 5, or sorry, you can see this one, 2 comma 6 became -2, -6. Did the 2 and the 6 change order? No. So it's still going to be in the order of x comma y. The only difference is they both became negative. So -x comma -y is how you're going to write that. So you're going to take your original point. They don't move or anything. It just, both of them become negative. And you're going to see what I mean by move when we do these two. So let's do this one. A. So what if we had the point -1, 6? So if we had a point at -1, 6. So if we had a point up here, and I rotated it half of the circle, notice you could write it as -1, comma, -6. So we wrote the original x value as a -1. But a negative, or if we think about moving it into this quadrant, the x values are positive. So it would actually just be a negative is the same thing as a positive. The opposite of a negative is a positive. So it would be +1, comma, -6. So pretty much what's happening here is every time the sign's going to change. So instead of it being a negative, it's positive. This one was positive, so now it's negative. So just keep this in mind. You're going to always change both signs. And I'm going to write that as a note up here at the top. Both signs change. That's a terrible word. I messed up there. But so then if we have 2, 4, both signs are going to change. So it's going to become -2, -4. Okay. Flip the page over. And we're going to do this first one. We're going to have enough time, I hope, to do this first part. So this is page 61. And I just marked that out, wrote 90 degrees counterclockwise, and then we're going to do 90 degrees clockwise. So if you think about a clock, we have 12, 3, 6, 9, and a clock moves in this direction. So if we're going to go counterclockwise, you're going to go the opposite. So a clock moves this way from 12 to 3 to 6. Now, counterclockwise would go 12 to 9 to 6 to 3. So it goes the opposite direction. So it's going to go this way. All right, either use that same piece of patty paper that you already had, or just get a new one, whichever is easier for you. You could just use a different corner. I'm going to use a new one because I can't find my other one. It's probably in my book somewhere. Okay, again, mark the X and the Y axis. Mark all of your points. So we have A, B, C, D. So A, B, C, D. Okay. Now, we're going to go counterclockwise. So we're going to go, think about it, this Y, the top of the Y-axis, and you're going to go counterclockwise. You're not going to go towards 3, you're going to go towards 9. So we're going to take this, and just like we did in the last one, you're going to rotate it 90 degrees. That is 90 degrees. One turn is 90 degrees. So get everything lined up as best as you can. That's A, that's B, that's C, and that's D. Oops, they didn't really transfer over that time. Oh, because I didn't mark my points on the back. Let's try that again. So A, B, C, D. There we go. So this would be A prime. This would be B prime, C prime, and D prime. Okay, sorry, just moved my chair. So A prime. That point, move along the x-axis, is 0 up 3. B is 1, 2, 3, 4, so -4. It went back 4, and it's up 2. C prime is -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then down 1. D prime is 1, 2, so -2, comma, 0. All right, so this is counterclockwise. Let's look and try to figure out what happened to our values again. So we have 3, 0 became 0, 3. 2, 4 became -4, 2. -1, 6 became 6, -1. 0, 2 became -2, 0. What's the first thing you notice? Where did the 3 move? So the original X value is now in this second position. The original Y value is now in the first position. So again, that table that we created, oh, I found my patty paper. We're going to go to the counterclockwise spot. So the first thing that you should have noticed is that the X and the Y flipped. So it's now, leave a little bit of room in case we need to write a negative. So it's Y, comma, oops, I almost gave it away. Y, comma, X. Did any of the signs change? So remember last time, every time the sign changed, let's see if the sign changed. So 3, 0 is 0, 3. So the 3 didn't change signs. Let's just look at x first. 2 stayed 2, -1 stayed -1, 0, 0. So the sign didn't change from the original x. The positive stayed positive, the 2 stayed positive, the -1 stayed -1. So let's look at the y. 0 is 0. Well, 0 is not negative or positive. So let's look at the next one. 4 is -4. 6 is -6. And 2 is -2. So notice that y value changed signs. So it would be your y changed to negative. So what happened here is x and y flipped. So it's yx. And then the y change signs. So let's do that to this one. So if we have the point -1, 6, -1, 6, which is C, it became -6, -1. So it would become -6, so we switch this to the first spot and change the sign, and then the x stayed the same sign. And this is A prime, I should label that. Okay, let's do the last one. So B prime, switch the x and the y, so it'd be 4, 2, and then make the y value negative. Okay, so that is how, let's write that out. So the numbers switched, original y changes sign. Okay, so if it was negative, we're looking at y. So the 6 was positive, so now it's negative. The 4 was positive, so now it's negative. So we just switched this, the numbers switched, and then the original y changes signs. Okay, so that's how you do 90 degrees counterclockwise, and then we'll wait to the next video to do 90 degrees clockwise.